One of the most frustrating things is consistently setting the same goals and not being able to achieve them. We start to feel like we're stagnating, we give up hope on ourselves, and we start to feel defeated. And that sucks. And so I'm creating a 3-part series where we're gonna go over how to reliably hit your goals so you can start moving to the things that you want and start building momentum towards the life that you want. So I've broken down reliably hitting your goals into 3 main categories, and that's how we're gonna break up these videos. So the first one in this video, we're gonna go over clarity, getting real clarity on what it is we're trying to do. In the next one, we're gonna go into execution, how we go about doing that. And thirdly, we're gonna go into mindset. But before we start, I wanna ask you a question. So which of these best fits why you feel like you struggle to hit your goals? Is it a lack of accountability, a lack of motivation, a lack of focus, or is it self-doubt? And so I'd love if you could go down and comment that down below which of those answers best resonates with you in what you struggle with dealing with. Because I really wanna make videos that, relate to the problems that you guys are having. So yeah, go down there and comment that down below, or if there's something else that you feel like more resonates with you, then leave that as well. And while you're down there, hit that like and subscribe as well. And so let's jump into our first section in our 3-part series, clarity. So complexity and ambiguity are the enemy of execution. And getting really clear now is gonna help us later because we won't be feeling like we're stuck because we don't know where it is we're actually heading or what it is we're trying to do or how we're going about doing it. And research has actually shown that the more clarity you have on your goals, the better you are in your performance in achieving them. When we're not clear on what it is we're doing or how we can go about doing it, it's really hard to be motivated. It's why seemingly easy tasks can actually end up being really hard, and like we keep putting them off and we keep feeling like we're stuck and we're not getting anywhere because we're not clear on either where we're going or the task right in front of us and how to actually do it. And so we end up putting it off. So the first place we're gonna start is with the why. Why is it that you actually want to do this goal? What is it that's behind the actual goal that you actually want to achieve? If we were going to look at fitness, for example, or losing weight, if you want to lose 10 kilos, like why is it that you want to do that? Is it because there's a summer coming up and you want to look good for summer so that you can attract a partner? Is it actually because you want to find love? Is it because you're feeling really unhealthy at the moment and you're just feeling like you're not energized and you're in a rut and you need something to push you towards something? So it's more because you want to feel more energy. Is it because there's actual health implications for you? All of these have the same goal, but a different why. Getting clear on the why is so important because it allows us to best craft our goal based on what it is we're actually trying to achieve. And down the line, when we're trying to motivate ourselves to execute on this goal, knowing what it is you're actually trying to achieve and grounding yourself in that why and why that matters to you so much is a really important motivator to get you to actually execute on this. It also doesn't need to be some big philosophical answer. You don't have to go 5 layers deep with this stuff, but just peeling back 1 or 2 layers to really ask yourself what it is that's actually going on inside you that's compelling you to do this. And Brendan Burchard actually has a great practice in which before he sits down for a block of work, he actually reflects on why it is he's doing what he's doing and the impact that it will have on himself and particularly the people that will be affected by this. And so before he goes to sit down to work, instead of feeling like, I've got to work now, he's instead grounded in the impact that this is going to have, what this means to the people around him. And so he's more motivated to be able to execute at a high level. So next we're moving on to the what. Getting clear on the what is the actual objective. What is it we're actually trying to do here? And I want you to have the confidence to dream big here. Have the confidence to go and do something incredible if you're compelled to do that. Jordan Peterson actually talks about this in a way that really highly resonated with me in 2 different ways. In one way, he says, aim for the highest good, because if you fall short of that, your life will still be, if it doesn't work out, your life will still be much better than if you had aimed for something small. It's sort of like that analogy of shoot for the stars and you'll at least land on the moon. And the other thing that he says that I really love is to allow yourself to believe that the world could actually be benefited from you being at your best, from you doing the best that you could do and actually going out and having an impact. The world could actually be a better place if you go do that. And if you don't have the confidence to allow yourself the permission to think that, you'll never go about trying to achieve it. But on that, I want to say something as well, that I think building up to those big things, it's worth setting yourself attainable goals. And we'll go into this a little bit later, but when setting yourself massive goals and massive visions for yourself, like that's fantastic. Push and drive for those incredible things that you have no idea how you're gonna achieve them. But on your way there, do that by setting yourself manageable goals that you know you can hit and you can build up to larger and larger things over time. Because when we set ourselves too larger goals without setting yourself smaller goals on the path to getting there, that complexity can become overwhelming. So don't be afraid to aim big, but start small. Start where you can. Start with what is in front of you and just move towards that vision. You don't necessarily need to know how you're going to get there. All you need to know is that that is where you're moving. And so in crafting your goal, I'm going to keep it pretty simple here, just using SMART goals. Think about your why. Think about what it is you're actually trying to achieve, and then create really tangible, measurable goals from that. Instead of saying, I want to get fit, say, I want to lose 3 kilograms. Instead of, I want to grow my business, I want to sign up 3 more clients. And the other part of SMART that I really think is important as well is the time-bound element. Give yourself time limits in which you are trying to achieve these goals, because it's really easy for things to trickle on and get away from you and just meander on if you're not careful. I'm actually going through this at the moment with one of my goals. As I was writing the script, I was like, that's me on this goal that I'm on this project that I'm working on. And I'm not perfect, and you can know all of this stuff in theory, but applying it can be hard. And that's why in the third video, we're going to go into mindset, because part of being able to execute on these large goals, on your vision, is stepping up and becoming the person that can consistently execute on these things. I'm not embodying necessarily the guy that is perfectly able to run the amazing coaching business with a full load of clients that is blah, blah, blah. But I'm working every day to become that person. And I'm clear on the goal, I'm clear on the direction I'm moving, and I'm working every day on trying to become that person. And so yeah, I have projects that get away from me. I'm not perfect, I'm not trying to act like I am. But the more we can implement some of these things, the more we can get to where we want, and we can become that version of ourselves that is able to do the things that we want, that is able to build that momentum and get where we want. And finally, once you've decided on what your goal is, it's tangible, it's time bound, it's motivating you, it's large, it's based in your why, write it down. There's so much research on this. You need to write down your goals, oh my God. And write them down somewhere you're gonna reflect on them. Apps like Todoist or Notion. I use Notion personally, or maybe you use Evernote, but make sure that you come back to this place to refer back to it. But if you're not writing down your goals, you're just not serious about doing them. And that's going to lead into my next point, which is the how. So the how I'm just going to touch on a little bit here, because we're sort of going to go into that in the execution video next. The how is where a lot of people get stuck. When we set our goals, when we set this large vision for ourselves or large goals for ourselves, we can sometimes get stuck in the how, or we cannot even allow ourselves to attempt it because we don't know how. We don't know how I'm going to get from this point to that point. And that complexity is what creates inaction. And it's intimidating when we try to do something we've never done before. And likely, if this is a big goal for you that you're trying to go out and achieve, you've probably never done it before. But I want you to imagine a rock climber standing in front of a cliff face. My sister's just got really into rock climbing, so I'm envisioning her on this cliff face. So when my sister is on the rock face and she's sitting at the bottom of a 50-meter cliff, Do you think she is thinking about what is the rock that I need to grab onto 1 meter from the top so that I can make that final lunge and get to my goal? No, she's thinking about, she might have a strategy for like a couple moves ahead, but she's also just thinking about the one step ahead. What is the one thing I need to do right now? The one rock I need to grab onto that's gonna lead me to that next rock, that's gonna lead me to that larger, small goal, which I can reevaluate and go from there. So all you need to know is your next best step. Know your vision, know your long-term goals, but you don't need to know the how for the long term. Focus on the how for the short term. And you still might encounter things that you have no idea how to do. But as Marie Forleo says in her book, everything is figure-outable. At the moment, with the internet, with everything we have at our disposal, everything is figure-outable if you want to do it, or you'll have a friend that knows something about this. The actual execution of how to do something should not be something that holds you back. You might need to get a coach, you might need to get advice, you might need to look it up, but you can do it with the resources that you have available to you. So once we have our goal, we've worked in the what, that's a big introduction to just get to this point, that basically once we have our large goal, break it up into projects and next actions. So David Allen talks about this in his book, Getting Things Done. I've spoken about it before. I live by this. I swear by this book. It is the whole, operating system of my life, essentially, is Getting Things Done by David Allen. And essentially he breaks down large goals for everything in our lives and breaks it into smaller projects. And a project is essentially something that takes more than one step, and tasks. Because when we're trying to think of how we can execute on our large goals, it's way too complex to think about all the different things we need to do. All we can do is break it down into projects we need to achieve, and then the next thing that needs to move that project along. And you can also reverse engineer that. If you have a project and you have a pretty good idea of how you can go about getting that done, then get ahead, write the next 10 steps if you feel you need to, but focus on that one next step. If you don't know at all what to do, just the one next step. And the one next step might be research what I need to do, or I have no idea how to do this, get better at this one thing. But just focus on projects and next actions. And it simplifies the entire process of having these big, large goals to suddenly it's just about waking up and doing that one thing that's gonna move you that little bit towards it. Again, here, like I mentioned before, using productivity apps such as Todoist and Notion can be really helpful in helping you track all of these projects and next actions and keep everything quite simple. David Allen speaks about in his book that our brains are for having ideas, not holding them. This is why you need to write your projects down, you need to write your goals down, and you need to write your next actions of what you're gonna do and when down. Otherwise, it's just gonna slip away, or it's gonna be way too complex, and so that's gonna prevent you from taking action. So that is it for part 1, clarity on how to reliably hit your goals. Next, we're going into execution and then mindset. So make sure you subscribe down below so you can keep in touch with those. And until next time, I will see you in the next one. Peace.